I want to tell you guys a little bit about my VR headset. I purchased a Meta Quest 2. That's the Facebook, aka Meta headset. That's what it's branded now. Used to be the Oculus, for those of you that may be more familiar with that name. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt in my mind that we are definitely headed towards a Ready Player One type of reality in real world, with how ubiquitous VR was in that world that Ernest Cline created for his amazing novel, which I've broken down before here on the Spun Today podcast, as well as the movie adaptation of that novel. But this type of tech is in its nascent stages. Like, it feels like the Atari or Nintendo phase of where VR is going, and you can already see its potential, in my opinion. Not all of it, but so much of it, a lot of it is really dope already. But when I think about factoring in its like exponential growth and like the technology and like the headset itself becoming less clunky and lighter, you know, similar to like cell phones, for example, take like that big ass brick Zach Morris phone versus the technology crammed within a thin, sleek, brand new iPhone in just a couple decades. It's an amazing contrast. And I feel like we're going to see that within this VR space. Now, they already have, for example, like a VR headset called the Pro version. It's a little thinner, it's a little lighter, but it's also a lot more expensive. It's like $1,200, I want to say, or more. And I got this Meta Quest 2 headset for $350, which for what it is, honestly, it's not bad in my opinion. I see it as, you know, like a video game console. And I know like Xboxes and PlayStations and shit like that are around that same amount and maybe even a little bit more, around the 500 mark, 400 mark. And I see this as like a different version of that. Like, you can download games into it. It came with, for example, Resident Evil, which is a popular game in all like other platforms that I was never into. Not that big on like video games at all, but from when I was, you know, I played similar games like Tomb Raider and the Call of Duty games and shit like that on like PS2 and like Xboxes and shit like that. But what's cool is the immersive nature of these games. So it comes with these two, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but this like weird looking controllers that they look weird and like counterintuitive, but they're very intuitive when you start, you know, navigating within this VR space. And like the loops have sensors on it, so when you move your fingers, even if you're not pressing buttons specifically, sometimes it like actually picks it up fairly well. So if you put like a thumbs up or point your finger and stuff like that, different games will pick that up. And in an example of a cool aspect of like the gameplay, for example, with Resident Evil, which is again a game that I was like never into, but playing it is cool because not only can you like look up and back and to your right and to your left, and you're like literally inside a video game and you see everything and you're like walking around, but they have the option to make it like an immersive play where you don't like shoot by pressing A and, you know, punch by pressing B. Like, you literally have to swing to punch, and you have to grab at your hip and press B in order to grab the gun. And then you have to, with your left hand, grab the ammo clips and press Y and do the motion of putting the clip inside the gun and cocking the gun before you're able to like shoot and stuff like that. So it makes it that much more realistic. And that aspect of it is really dope. And the graphics of games like that are just like the graphics of like Resident Evil, for example, when you would see it on PlayStation or one of the other platforms. For exercise, it's pretty good as well. It gets you moving around. I tried the like Creed boxing game, which is pretty cool. Definitely work up a sweat. Beat Saber is a fun game that I like playing. It's like you probably seen commercials for it. It's like those red and blue boxes coming at you, and you have like two swords, and you have to like hit it from the top, hit it from the side, hit the red from the side, hit the blue from the bottom, and like stuff like that as it comes at you, and you hear music in the background, and that definitely works out a sweat. There's a counter also, by the way, with, you know, within this fitness vein, where it like counts the calories that you're burning like as you're playing and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. And then you have other things that are less on the like gamer side, but more of what I like for example, podcasts in VR. You guys can like, even if you don't have a VR headset right now, you can like look on YouTube for Like My Expert Opinion, for example, is a podcast that I listen to, Math Office podcast, and that I watch on YouTube. And they have VR versions of some of their episodes. And if you watch it on a computer, you can spin the camera and look around on the computer. But if you're doing it with a VR headset, you literally feel like you're in the room because you're just like moving your head to look around. And that's the purpose of those VR episodes of podcasts, which is amazing for me. You guys know how much I love podcasts. And I really like this other application called the Big Screen that has a ton of different settings of movie theaters. Like you can go to a movie theater from like the 80s or a modern movie theater or some like futuristic movie theater that's like in space. And like each individual room, there's a different movie playing that somebody happens to be streaming. Like somebody started a room, which you can start your own room and, play a movie on there from your computer and invite your friends and you can watch movies together. You can speak to each other and it really does look like a movie theater. Like you're looking around and you see the aisles and all the seats and the other people that you see, up to 15 people max. You can, speak to, you can talk to throughout the movie, or you have the option of just like muting everybody so you don't hear anything except the movie, which is definitely a great touch because those rooms wind up being like a little reminiscent of like AOL AIM chat rooms and shit back in the day where people would just say like wild, stupid shit and just like go into them to interrupt and stuff. So that mute all function, or you can individually select people that you want to mute, is great. You can also set up private rooms. It's really, really cool. And lastly, I just want to say that I have an idea of an application of this technology in the future. And I'm sure it's not an original idea. Other people have had it as well. But I had the idea when hearing on a podcast, someone speaking about popular power wash simulator game within VR where people, they power wash the side of a house or a car or something like that. And I was thinking how ill it would be to have real life jobs and positions where you have actual machinery on one side, and then on the other side, you have folks on VR controlling that machinery. So like picture that power washing game, for example. There's an actual machine that picks up the power washer and aims it and moves it however it is that you're doing it within the VR game. But like have that be an actual job, an actual, form of employment. Not necessarily like the power wash thing, but think of like dangerous mining jobs that require the precision of machinery, but require the intuition of a human being. And having the option of being able to do that virtually like that, I think is something that will scale in the future as this technology continues to develop itself. And that, folks, has been my experience with a VR headset to date. I definitely recommend them.